Welcome to Puddles 3. I have written for decades about River Sunday, a fictional harbor town located in the Chesapeake. Most authors write a place in their novels, and mine is an invented region and homeland from which I can draw stories. It has history which goes back to the voyages of the Vikings and earlier, and land which has been fought over by most civilizations on planet Earth. Besides its beautiful natural resources, it has a strong human presence made of resident descendants from the settlers, new and old. For the most part, these people and the land are like a microcosm of America. They manage to take in stride the good and evil which comes to their shores. This characteristic strength makes good fodder for the storyteller. My many fans who have given me the high book ranking I now hold with Amazon will recognize my earliest fiction, Slave Graves. This novel, years in the writing, and now featured on Kindle, tells of an archaeologist who uncovers a long-hidden, vicious crime by early settlers in River Sunday. Present relatives plot to murder the archaeologist to keep the crime hidden. You'll find that this book, as in all my books, features the issue of freedom. It is seen differently by each character. All deal with their freedom as humans, and their freedom culminates in various outcomes. For this Puddles issue, I compare this theme with the work of one of my favorite authors, Kristin Hannah. I chose the character of Maggie Davis. This is Kristin Hannah's book. The state-appointed archaeologist in the investigation of the shipwreck on a building site in Slave Graves. She has studied against Bian and Isabel in Nightingale, Kristin Hannah's classic of the Nazi occupation of France. We read of Maggie fighting the overwhelming bureaucracy of the state and the prejudice of the local townspeople. In turn, Bian surrenders to the Nazi overlords to protect her life, while Isabel loses her freedom as she fights back against armed enemy soldiers. In the outcome, Bian is a spectator at the honorifics for Isabel after the war, with Bian alive and Isabel dead. These characters raise the question for modern readers. How many of us are willing to risk our lives for freedom? Or, to put it another way, how many of us would rather succumb to a loss of freedom? Following this same theme of the search for freedom, I'm working hard on my 11th novel, tentatively named Steeples. Link Carmichael, a disabled veteran of Afghanistan, searches for freedom in his life as he rebuilds his murdered grandfather's burned church. Does his freedom come from copying the freedom of others? Or, with no good examples to copy, is it something he must invent for himself, regardless of what others may think? My other Puddles project is reporting water resources for animals. Water resources are useless to animals if the water is polluted and not clean. On top of that, water resources are being destroyed. As we all know, water is very plentiful on the planet. However, all but a tiny amount is useful for humans and animals as fresh water. However, as I look at the forecast for energy in the effort to forestall the climate crisis, I note little attention to water and even less to animal water. emagazine.com, The Illusion of a Solution, He's Fooling Us and We're Fooling Ourselves, by Dan Lennon. The net thought of the article is that we face one simple problem. We need fossil fuels to produce enough energy. Regardless of the clever new inventions to bypass fossil fuels, we will still need it. Lennon's last comment refers to Bill Gates' suggestion that we will need to plan for living with the changes in climate rather than trying to stop them. Keep in mind that COVID may affect our water supply and become an aerosol to make us sick. It's not over. We'll discuss the water issue further in more future Puddles reports. We may be able to live in the dark, but can we and other animals live without water? As part of my work on the subject, I again refer you to my book called Water for Backyard Pets. And Wildlife. It's a good beginning source of world information and institutes which specialize in water resources. I'll be referring to it in future Puddles as I report on upcoming articles and conferences touching on water. You might also read my latest novel, Enemy, which terrifies my fans. It describes an uprising by voracious natural creatures chasing and eating humans in revenge for their selfishness at causing the increase of deadly CO2 in the nests of the creatures. You'll keep your eyes on the ground after reading it, I'm sure. I like to keep in mind a note of humor from my vast collection of Thomas Hollyday cartoons. Many of these drawings have been shown in past YouTube videos on this channel. My cartoon books, from which these are mostly taken, are available on Amazon Kindle. This time we look at the continuing competition between the big and the small, the powerful and the weak, and the impertinence of the weak trying to survive. When a bird is confronted by a worm, it is the ultimate expression of defiance. Come on, make my morning. The challenge makes us laugh and cry at the same time, as doom is delayed by arrogance. Does the early bird always catch the worm? Thanks for listening. Talk to you again. We'll look at the novels of John Sanford and his interest in modern complex crimes. We'll discuss water issues shared with humans and animals, such as algal bloom. And we'll look at another Holliday cartoon expressing the wisdom of animals. Thank you very much.